This story is titled, My Wife Refused to Spend Her Birthday with Me and Went Out to Have Dinner with Her Coworker, but she thought I was bluffing when I told her I would file for divorce. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Hi Reddit. I don't usually post personal stuff here, but I wanted to tell this story because it's been a wild ride, and honestly, I could use some outside perspective, or maybe just some validation. I was with my wife for 14 years, married for 12 of them. Was it perfect? Number. But no marriage is, right? We had ups and downs, but I always thought we'd face everything together. The thought of us splitting never even crossed my mind. She wasn't just my wife, she was my partner, my best friend, the person I thought had my back through thick and thin. Then, in September 2022, my life changed. I was in a car accident. No, scratch that. A bad accident. I was driving to a work site. I'm an HVAC tech, or at least I was. And out of nowhere, a garbage truck slammed into my car. High speed. All I remember was the sound of the impact, glass shattering, and my head hitting the side of the door. I swear time slowed down in that moment. When I came to, there were people pulling me out, asking me if I could move my legs or arms. I didn't even understand what was happening at first. I was too out of it. Here's the thing. I didn't break anything, thank God. At first, I thought I'd walked away lucky, but within days the pain started. It was this deep, burning pain in my lower back, like someone had lodged a knife in there and just left it. At first, I thought it would go away, but it didn't. I tried to tough it out. My wife was supportive at first, helping me with little things around the house, telling me it was just temporary. But after about 2 months of me limping around, things shifted. I can't pinpoint exactly when, but I started noticing her sighing more, or the way she'd roll her eyes when I asked her to grab something I couldn't bend down to get. Little things. At the time, I told myself it was stress. After all, me not working meant we were down to one income, and I know that's hard. But still, something was different. By December 2022, I tried to go back to work. My doctor wasn't happy about it, but I hated feeling useless. I convinced him to let me try, and I gave it everything I had. I lasted 3 days before I collapsed while loading tools into my van. The pain was unbearable. My boss told me to go home, and my doctor officially took me off work indefinitely. That's when the reality hit me. I wasn't going back anytime soon. I felt like I was letting my wife down. I'd always been the kind of guy who pulled his weight. I worked hard, paid bills, fixed things around the house. Now I was broken, and I couldn't help but feel like a burden. I tried to keep my spirits up. I applied for financial help to cover the mortgage and bills. We qualified, which helped take some pressure off her. I thought maybe things would calm down, and we'd get back to normal. But then came May 2023, the appendix incident. I woke up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat. My stomach felt like it was being ripped apart from the inside. I tried to tough it out for a few hours, but the pain just kept getting worse. Around 5 a.m., I woke her up and told her, "Something's wrong. I need to go to the hospital." She groaned and looked at me like I'd asked her to do the most annoying thing in the world. "Are you sure it's that serious?" I couldn't believe it. I was literally doubled over in pain. I told her, "Yes, I need to go now." And you know what she did? She fixed her hair and makeup before we left. I sat in the car, hunched over, waiting for her to be ready. She refused to drive too, so I had to drive myself to the ER with her sitting next to me. I don't even know how I managed it. At the hospital, the doctors told me my appendix had ruptured. I needed emergency surgery and fast. After the surgery, they told me there was an infection, so they wanted to keep me overnight for observation. I called my wife and asked if she could stay with me, or at least take a couple of days off to help me recover at home. Her response? "I can't. I have work." I get it. Work's important. But I was laying in a hospital bed with an infection in my gut, and she couldn't even take one day. I remember laying there alone that night, hooked up to machines and thinking, what the hell happened to us? When I got home the next day, she barely said anything. No, how are you feeling? Or, do you need anything? Nothing. It was like I was just an inconvenience in her life. I started questioning everything at that point. Looking back, that was probably when I started losing hope. But instead of confronting it, I shoved it down. I told myself she was just stressed, that she didn't mean to act like she didn't care. I ignored the signs. I didn't want to believe things were falling apart. I think the worst part was that I felt alone. Even though she was right there in the same house, I felt completely alone. I wanted to talk to her about how I was feeling, how scared I was about my health and my job and our future. But every time I tried to open up, she shut me down. She'd sigh or tell me, "It'll be fine," in this dismissive way that made it clear she didn't want to talk about it. By the time June rolled around, I was starting to see just how far apart we'd drifted. It was like living with a roommate instead of a wife. I thought maybe we could fix it, that things would get better once I started feeling better physically. I was wrong. So by June 2023, things between us were getting worse. Not just off, but noticeably tense, like walking on eggshells in my own home. I felt like everything I did annoyed her. If I asked for help, she acted like it was such a burden. If I didn't ask for help and tried to do something on my own, she'd roll her eyes like I was being dramatic. I didn't know how to win anymore. Around that time, we were sitting on the couch one evening. The TV was on, but I wasn't really paying attention. She made some offhand comment about how she's back paid in this marriage now. I stared at her for a second, trying to figure out if I heard her right. I asked, "Back paid? What's that supposed to mean?" She gave me this look, half smiling but annoyed, and said something like, "Well, I've been holding everything down for months now, paying bills, taking care of things." I wasn't mad, more shocked. I joked back, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out then." It was stupid, I know. But I said it jokingly, the same way couples poke fun at each other. I thought we'd laugh it off and move on. She didn't. Her face dropped and she snapped back, "You think that's funny? Do you have any idea how trapped I feel right now?" I didn't know what to say. Trapped? I'd been dealing with my accident, the back pain, surgery, all of it. I wasn't asking for her sympathy. I just needed her to hang in there with me. I told her, "Look, I get it. This situation sucks for both of us. I know I haven't been able to work, but I'm doing everything I can to fix it. I applied for financial help for the mortgage, so you wouldn't have to do everything alone." She shrugged like it didn't matter. "Yeah, but I'm still the one paying for everything." It stung. I felt like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. I didn't bring it up again because I thought maybe she just needed to vent. But things got weirder after that. A few days later, she told me she was going to spend the night at a coworker's place. I asked her why, and she said she needed to talk to someone about her feelings. I didn't want to argue, so I told her, "If it helps you, go ahead." In my head, I thought, maybe this is good. Maybe she'll come back feeling better, and we can work on us. The next week, she mentioned her birthday was coming up. I assumed we'd spend it together like we always did. I mean, we'd been together for 14 years. I never even thought to ask. So, I brought it up casually one night, like, "Do you want me to make reservations somewhere, or do you want to just do something at home?" She hesitated. "I'm actually going out for dinner with a girl from work." I blinked. "You don't want to spend your birthday with me?" She kind of smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. "I already made plans. It's just dinner." It hurt. I'm not gonna lie. Her birthday had always been special to me, and I tried to make every year better than the last. So the fact that she'd rather spend it with someone else hit me hard. I didn't argue, though. I told myself she probably just needed a break from all the stress. The next day, something felt off. I don't know why, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't telling me the whole story. Maybe it was because I'd never even heard her mention this girl from work before. So I asked her straight up, "Who's the coworker you're going to dinner with?" She looked annoyed. "Why does it matter? It's just a friend." I wasn't convinced. I said, "Is it a guy?" She froze for a second. Just a second, but I noticed. "Number, I told you it's a girl." That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind wouldn't stop running. Call it gut instinct or paranoia, but I just knew she wasn't telling the truth. The next morning, I decided to check her phone. I know it was wrong, but I needed to know. And sure enough, she had text with someone saved as Mike from work. I saw a message about dinner that night, and it was clearly planned with him, not some girl. When she got back later that night, I confronted her. I told her I knew she had gone out with a guy, not a girl from work. She didn't even deny it. She just looked pissed that I found out. "Why are you checking my phone? Don't you trust me?" I snapped. "Trust you? You literally lied to my face about who you were with. You didn't do anything wrong. Why lie?" She yelled back that she was tired of me always being around, that I was smothering her. "I just needed a night out. Is that so hard to understand?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was her birthday, and instead of spending it with me, her husband, she chose to lie and go out with another guy. I asked her point blank if something was going on between them. She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, no. It's just dinner." We fought for hours that night. By the end of it, I was so drained that I packed a bag and drove to my mom's house to cool off. I just needed to get out and think. I didn't tell her where I was going because I didn't want to keep fighting. I figured space would help. But when I came back later to grab some clothes, she was waiting for me. She started yelling, asking where I went, and accused me of giving up on the marriage. That blew my mind. I left for a few hours to cool off, and suddenly, I'm the bad guy. I told her she was the one lying, the one who didn't want to spend her birthday with me. But she twisted it back on me, saying I didn't care about her feelings. At that moment, I felt so defeated. I didn't know what to do anymore. I thought about leaving for good, but then I remembered the 14 years we'd spent together. I told myself this was just a rough patch, and that we could still work through it. I was wrong. After the whole mess with her birthday dinner, things between us weren't just tense anymore, they were broken. I don't even know how to describe the feeling of living in the same house as someone you've been with for over a decade, and yet feeling like strangers. She'd come home from work, and we'd barely say a word to each other. When we did talk, it was surface-level stuff like, "Did you pay the electric bill?" Or, "Do you want me to pick up groceries?" That's it. It was weird because we'd always been the kind of couple that talked. I used to tell her about my day, my job, the random funny stuff that happened. She'd tell me about her coworkers, her plans for the week, but by July 2023, our conversations felt forced, like we were both just waiting for the other person to snap. One night, she came home later than usual. It wasn't crazy late, maybe 10 p.m., but still I noticed. I asked, "Where were you?" Not even trying to sound accusatory, just curious. She sighed loudly, like I'd asked her the dumbest question in the world. "I told you I was out with friends." "Which friends?" I pressed. She looked at me with that same irritated expression I was starting to get used to. "Why does it matter?" And that's when it hit me. She didn't care anymore. Not about how I felt. Not about the marriage. Not about any of it. I wasn't accusing her of cheating or lying. I just wanted to know where she was because we were married. But it was like she wanted to keep everything about her life separate now, as if I didn't deserve to know. I thought maybe I was reading too much into it. I told myself over and over again, "You're just insecure because of everything that's happened." But it wasn't just that night. It was everything. The way she was pulling away emotionally. The way she avoided being home more and more. The way she barely even looked at me anymore, like I was just some dude living in her house. I couldn't take it. I decided we needed to talk. The next morning, I asked her to sit down with me. I was nervous. Part of me didn't even want to have the conversation because I was afraid of what she'd say, but I couldn't keep ignoring it. So I sat her down and told her, "We can't keep going like this. If something's bothering you, we need to talk about it. We've been through too much to just give up now." She stared at me for a second and then said, "I feel like I don't have space anymore. I'm overwhelmed." I was stunned. Space? We were barely speaking as it was. I told her, "If you need space, that's fine. But you can't just shut me out completely. We need to work on this together." And then she hit me with something I wasn't expecting. "I think I need my own space. Like, a place to myself. I've been thinking about getting an apartment." An apartment? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked her, "How is that going to fix anything? You think moving out will save our marriage?" She said, "Yes, because I need time to clear my head." I didn't buy it. I told her, "If you move out, that's not fixing anything. That's running away. And you know I can't pay for this house by myself right now." She shrugged, like it wasn't her problem. "I can't live like this anymore." We fought for hours that day. I begged her to reconsider. I told her I'd go to therapy, that we could try counseling together, that we could work through it. She shut all of it down. She was so calm about it too, like she'd already made up her mind. I told her straight up, "If you move out, I'll file for divorce." She rolled her eyes and said, "You're not going to do that." The next few weeks were brutal. She started actively looking for apartments, and I could feel her slipping away even more. Every day she came home, it was like living with someone I didn't know. I tried to be civil, but I couldn't hide how hurt I was. I'd catch myself staring at her, wondering, how did we get here? At one point, I asked her again, "Are you sure this is what you want? You're really going to leave?" She said, "Yes, I think it's for the best." I didn't understand it. We'd been together for 14 years, and now she was acting like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. A week before her move-in date, something didn't sit right with me. I started thinking about all the times she came home late, all the co-workers she hung out with, and how distant she'd been for months. My gut told me there was more going on, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. While she was at work, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through her Apple Watch. She'd left it on the kitchen counter that morning, and I knew it was connected to her phone. I told myself I was crazy, that I wouldn't find anything, but I had to know. What I found made me sick. There were texts between her and a guy, Mike from work. The messages had been going on for months. Months. I saw one where she texted him saying, "I want you so bad. When can we hook up? I sat down on the kitchen floor, staring at that tiny screen, feeling like my whole world had just cracked open. When she got home that night, I confronted her. I told her I saw the messages. At first, she laughed. Actually laughed. Are you serious? You went through my stuff? I wasn't backing down. I said, you've been talking to him for months. You're planning to hook up with him. What else am I supposed to think? Her face shifted. She said, it's just a joke. You're blowing this out of proportion. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told her, a joke? You think it's funny to talk like that with another guy? That's when she snapped and admitted it. Well, maybe if you actually gave me attention, I wouldn't have to look somewhere else. That was it. I didn't even know what to say. For months, I'd been trying to fix things, and now I realized she didn't care. She'd already checked out. She moved out in August 2023, and I let her go. When August 2023 rolled around, I felt like I was stuck watching my own life fall apart in slow motion. My wife had found an apartment, signed the lease, and was officially moving out. I wish I could tell you I fought harder to stop her, but the truth is I was exhausted, mentally and emotionally. At some point, you just hit a wall, you know? That last week before she moved out was brutal. The tension in the house was unbearable. We weren't really talking anymore unless it was something necessary, like coordinating when the movers were coming, or what furniture she planned on taking. I didn't argue about who got what because, honestly, I didn't care. I just wanted it to be over. The day she packed up, it felt surreal. I watched as boxes of her things disappeared from the house we'd built together over the last decade. She was surprisingly calm through the whole thing, which somehow made it worse. There was no crying, no reminiscing, no sign that this was difficult for her. It was like I didn't even exist to her anymore. At one point, I asked her, why are you doing this? Can you just explain it to me one more time? She sighed like I was the one being unreasonable. I told you already, I need my space. I need to figure things out for myself. I tried to press her. Figure out what? Are you planning to come back? She didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed another box and carried it out to her car. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I don't know why I did it, but I helped her move some of the heavier stuff. It felt weird helping her leave me, but part of me thought maybe this would give me closure. Maybe seeing her walk away with her own 2 feet would help me finally accept it. Spoiler, it didn't. At the apartment complex, I carried the last box up to her unit, set it down, and looked around. The place was nice, small but modern. Clean white walls, big windows, and empty. It hit me then that she was excited for this. While I was dreading her leaving, she had been looking forward to it. Before I left, I asked her, are you happy now? She gave me a look I'll never forget. Not sad, not angry, just cold. I don't know yet. I nodded and walked out. That first night without her was one of the loneliest I've ever had. I sat in our quiet house and realized how empty it felt without her. All her stuff was gone, and her side of the closet was bare. The house felt less like a home, and more like a reminder of everything that had fallen apart. I couldn't sleep that night. I just laid there staring at the ceiling, replaying the last few months in my head. The accident, the surgery, the fights, the texts, everything. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Was I not enough for her? Could I have done something to stop this? The next morning, I tried to get back to my routine, but nothing felt the same. I had physical therapy scheduled, so I forced myself to get up and go. The pain in my back wasn't getting better, and the stress of everything made it worse. My therapist noticed. She asked how I was doing, and I told her the truth. Not great. She listened while I told her what was happening, and for the first time in months, someone actually said what I needed to hear. You can't carry all the blame for this. You didn't ask to get hurt. You didn't ask for her to pull away. Hearing that didn't fix anything, but it helped me start thinking differently. I'd spent so long beating myself up about everything, feeling like I was broken, like it was all my fault, but maybe it wasn't. 2 weeks after she moved out, I found out something that changed everything. I got a text from a mutual friend asking how I was doing, and casually, they mentioned, I saw her name at that bar downtown last night. She was with some guy. They looked pretty cozy. I just sat there staring at my phone. I didn't want to believe it, but deep down, I already knew. She wasn't looking for space or time to think. She had someone else waiting in the wings the whole time. The pieces started falling into place. Her late nights, her sudden need for friends, the text with Mike. She'd been planning this for months. While I was still trying to figure out how to fix us, she'd already moved on. I spent the rest of that day in a haze. I didn't call her, didn't text her. What was the point? She'd made her choice. The next morning, I called a lawyer and told them I wanted to file for divorce. When I finally told her a few days later, her response was unbelievable. She smirked and said, "You're just bluffing." "Do I look like I'm bluffing?" I shot back. She didn't say anything after that. I don't know if she thought I'd cave or beg her to come back, but I didn't. I'd spent months feeling like a burden, like I wasn't enough, but seeing how little she cared made me realize something. I deserved better. We didn't have kids, so the divorce process moved quickly. We didn't have much to fight over. She took her stuff, and I kept mine. By mid-September, all the paperwork was in motion. In the weeks leading up to the final signing, she barely spoke to me. If she needed something, she'd text me like I was her landlord, not her husband. "Can you forward me that utility bill? Did you cancel the internet?" That's it. One day, she called me out of the blue and asked for a favor. She'd totaled her car in an accident. Ironic, I know. And wanted to borrow my car to get to work. I told her no. Then she said, "Well, can you drive me to work then?" I couldn't believe the nerve. "You're not my problem anymore," I told her, and I meant it. She hung up on me, and that was the last real conversation we had. By the time the divorce was finalized in December 2023, I didn't feel relieved. I just felt numb. I thought about all the years we'd spent together, 14 years of memories, good and bad, and it hit me that the person I thought I knew was gone. Or maybe she was never who I thought she was to begin with. She moved on like I never existed. I stopped hearing from her altogether. She didn't even bother to update her address, so her mail kept coming to my house. At first, I'd text her to come pick it up, but she ignored me. Eventually, I started writing "Return to Sender" and putting it back in the mailbox. It sounds petty, I know, but I needed to move on too. By September 2023, the divorce process was officially in motion, and I had no more fight left in me. If you've ever been through something like this, you know what I mean. It's not dramatic or explosive by that point. It's just draining, like someone pulled the plug and all your energy, your love, your hope just leaks out until there's nothing left. She wasn't angry. I wasn't angry. It was almost mechanical. We'd meet briefly to sign paperwork, talk about splitting up utilities, and discuss who was keeping what. Most of the communication happened over text. It was like we were business partners dissolving a contract instead of two people who'd spent over a decade building a life together. The whole who gets what discussion didn't take long. She packed her things when she moved out. Clothes, personal stuff, and whatever furniture she wanted for her apartment. I didn't argue. Honestly, I didn't want anything that reminded me of her. The couch we used to cuddle on? Take it. The kitchen table where we had dinners? Don't care. It sounds dramatic, but every object felt tainted. Like keeping those things would just drag the ghost of our relationship around with me. When it came to the house, I decided to stay. I know some people sell the house in a divorce to get a fresh start, but I couldn't. I've always been the type who hates change, and leaving my home on top of everything else was more than I could handle. I couldn't work, so I applied for financial hardship and figured I'd hang on as long as I could. A month after we filed, I heard through the grapevine that she was already dating someone, probably the same guy I'd found in her texts. I didn't even feel angry. I felt numb. Like, of course she was moving on. That's who she was now. The version of her that cared about me, supported me, and treated our marriage like it mattered, she was gone. The hardest part of those months wasn't the divorce paperwork or hearing about her new life. It was the silence. After 14 years of having someone there, someone to talk to, even just sit with, it was jarring to wake up in an empty house. The quiet was almost suffocating. I started to notice how little I was taking care of myself. I'd skip meals without realizing it. I stopped doing things I used to enjoy, like tinkering with my tools or watching sports. I'd just sit on the couch staring at my phone, scrolling through pointless stuff for hours because I didn't know what else to do. One day, my mom came over to drop off some food. She looked around the house, saw how messy it had gotten, and said, "You can't keep living like this. You have to pick yourself up." I didn't snap at her because I knew she was right, but at the same time, I wanted to say, how? How do I start over after everything I've been through? Between the accident, my injuries, losing my marriage, and feeling like a shell of who I used to be, I didn't know where to begin. The turning point came in October 2023. That's when I got a phone call from her. It was out of the blue, and when I saw her name on my screen, my stomach dropped. I didn't know if I should answer or ignore it, but curiosity got the best of me. "Hello? Hey," she said flatly. "No. How are you?" No small talk. She got straight to the point. "I need to borrow your car." I couldn't believe it. "What?" She explained she'd been in a car accident. Her car was totaled, and she needed a way to get to work. I asked if she was okay, and she shrugged it off like it was nothing. I didn't go to the hospital. I'm fine. Then she said, "Can I borrow your car for a while?" I almost laughed. After everything we'd been through, this is what she called me for? Told her, no, that's not happening. She didn't like that. "Well, can you drive me to work then?" "No," I said again, this time firmer. "I have physical therapy appointments and doctor visits. I can't help you." Her tone shifted. "That's not my problem." That's when I snapped. "You're right. It's not. And you're not my problem anymore either." She hung up on me and I sat there staring at the screen for a minute. For the first time, I felt free. Like I finally realized I didn't owe her anything. Not my time, not my car, not my energy. She made her choices and now she had to live with them. From that day forward, I stopped caring about her. Not in a bitter, angry way, just in a this is over way. I stopped checking her social media. I stopped asking mutual friends about her. I focused on myself instead. In the weeks leading up to the divorce being finalized in December, I started pulling myself together. I still had pain from my back injuries, but I pushed myself to be more active. I started small, taking short walks outside, trying to fix up little things around the house that had been neglected. It wasn't much, but it was something. The final court date came, and we didn't say much to each other. She looked different, like a stranger wearing my wife's face. I handed over the last of the paperwork. The judge signed off on everything, and just like that, we were no longer husband and wife. When we left the courthouse, she looked at me and said, "Good luck." I didn't say anything back. I just walked to my car and drove home. I thought I'd feel relief when it was finally over, but all I felt was empty. It's strange, really. You spend years building something with someone, and then one day, a few signatures on a piece of paper make it like it never happened. The weeks after that were quiet but different. The silence in my house didn't feel suffocating anymore. It felt peaceful. I stopped thinking about what she was doing or who she was with. I started focusing on my health, my pain management, and what I wanted my future to look like. I guess in a weird way, I have her to thank for that. By the time the new year rolled around, I realized that I'd been stuck in survival mode for months. My divorce was finalized in December 2023, and as much as I tried to mentally prepare myself for that day, it still hit me like a punch to the gut. The weirdest part? It wasn't even sadness anymore. It was just emptiness. Like the life I thought I'd have was just gone, and I didn't know what came next. The weeks after the divorce were slow, but they gave me something I didn't expect: clarity. Without her in the picture, I didn't feel like I was walking on eggshells in my own home anymore. The quiet stopped feeling lonely, and I started finding peace in it. I'd sit in my living room, coffee in hand, just listening to the hum of the heater and the occasional sound of cars passing by outside. It sounds lame, I know, but it was the first time in months I felt calm. I made it my mission to focus on myself, something I hadn't done in years. Between the back pain, the marriage falling apart, and my inability to work, I'd completely lost myself. I started setting small goals. First, I forced myself to get into a basic routine: wake up at 7 a.m., shower, eat breakfast, and get outside for a short walk every morning. My physical therapy appointments were still ongoing, and I made sure I never missed one. I also worked on the house. It was little stuff at first, like cleaning up the kitchen or organizing the garage, but every small task felt like a win. The house didn't feel so heavy anymore. It started to feel like mine again. I moved her leftover things to the basement and eventually threw out or donated the stuff I knew she'd never come back for. It was my way of reclaiming my space. By January 2024, my back pain started to improve, at least a little. I had a procedure where the doctor numbed the nerves in my lower back to help me manage the pain. For the first time in over a year, I wasn't constantly wincing with every step I took. I still wasn't 100%, but I started feeling hopeful that I might get back to normal someday, or at least close to it.